So we are live. All right, welcome everyone to the March Sustainability Commission meeting for Delaware County. Um, Let me see here. Lost my list already. We are going to start with a roll call, and let me just pull up that list. And please indicate your attendance by saying here. Steve Clark,
Here.
David Director,
Here.
Carol Martzoff, which we know she is not here. Julie Prey, Mike Schneller.
Here.
Thank you. Just lost my list again. There we go. Grace Bennett. Joy Washington. Justin Tibbles.
Here.
Mike Fuller.
Mike's trying to log on now.
Okay, come back. John Bosch.
Here.
Gina Barrett. Ann Stauffer. Jonathan Corritt. Michelle Wheeler. And then I did see Elaine Schaefer. And of course, we have Becca Yurkovich and myself, Jacqueline Rhodes. Okay, and we have a quorum. Very good. I do not have an interactive question, but if anybody has any fun fact, please feel free to share, especially because we're coming upon Earth Month. No? Going once, going twice.
Did you get me, Jacqueline? I'm here. Sorry. I don't mean to. I just had to take a phone call.
Oh, okay. Got you.
Me
Nobody
too,
says
Jacqueline.
that.
Michelle Wheeler is not here.
Oh, sorry.
No worries.
And Karen. Okay.
It looks like Mike has joined us as well.
All right. In the great outdoors. Very nice. Although it looks sunnier where you are than where I am right now. All right, then moving on, let me share our agenda here. Everybody see that okay?
Yes.
All right, then we'll start off with instructions for public comment. If you would like to submit a public comment, you can post it into the chat or email sustaindelco@co.delaware.pa.us, and we will be monitoring it periodically. And nothing so far, right, Becca?
Nothing yet.
All right, I'm going to turn over and ask for a motion on the February meeting minutes. I will stop share. Can I get a motion?
I move we accept February meeting minutes.
All right, thanks, David. Second?
I'll second that.
All right, Mike, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Hi.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, very good. Moving on to our subcommittee updates. I am first on the list, and I will just share that Becca set up a great meeting with different departments within the county that are working on flood resilience and plans that are taking place. It also included representative from Natural Lands Trust that is putting together the Darby Creek flooding and watershed management plan, and trying to just coordinate efforts to make sure that we're not duplicating anything, and what might seem to be the best path forward in order to start tackling some of the actions as identified in our sustainability plan. So that's really the next step, and I would like to write something up in order to get moving on the committee, which would include people besides those that are on the Sustainability Commission or even working in the county, directly for the county, and hope to do that soon. Does anybody have any questions?
I do. Who did you said you met with the different departments? Who is the other organization?
Natural Lands Trust and Darby Creek Valley Association, because they are, well, number one, received funding from the county to help put together the plan, at least provided a portion of the funding for that plan. And it looks at the entirety of the Darby Creek watershed, which is, mostly contained or dominates most of Delaware County. And the focus of that plan is to look at flood resilience as one component, climate change, among some other watershed issues. Any other questions? All right, hearing none, Mike, you're up next for your subcommittee.
I'm up. Welcome, everybody. We met February 19th. Becca put together a meeting. I think that's the last time she's going to organize it or something, and then I'm going to take over from there. Basically, it was a really good brainstorming session, trying to figure out where we're going this year and what we wanted to accomplish. Becca recommended that we work on the county website and update the energy section of the website as far as resources and, advice on 3 different sectors, one being residential, and then that would be my specialty. And then commercial would be Steve, and then David was going to do municipal institutions and schools. So that we do create a shared drive, and we're going to be haven't looked at it in a while. I've been extremely busy at work, but anyway, we're doing that, and going to check with Chester County. They have figured out usages for the municipalities, and I have a connection there, and I'm waiting to hear back from him. So that's where we are. We're meeting again, I believe, next week. And hopefully we'll have some good information to get the website updated. I did meet someone from, I think it was Simply Solar or something like that. There's a program in the state of Pennsylvania that is grant money for schools. And it's actually really comprehensive and easy to do. And there's a good deal of money. It has nothing to do with the federal government. So it's a pretty good avenue for our schools to possibly install solar. So I'll be speaking with David about that.
What's the name of that organization?
I believe it's called Simply Solar.
Thank you.
It's a state program. I don't think it's an organization. Well, maybe it is. I haven't researched it fully, but I met the guy who consults for that. And he did a presentation in Upper Dublin, which I was a part of this past weekend, an environmental symposium, call it, and he was part of that. So that's all I have.
Great. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
Any questions? All right, Becca, you're up. Education and outreach.
I don't really have anything to update at this time. Again, it's on my list to reach back out to folks. I will say I've met with the Radnor EAC and the Brookhaven Sustainability Committee recently, though. And they were both super insightful. And I'm wondering if one of the steps we could take in a subcommittee is doing like a municipal survey. I saw going back through the archives, we had initially done one at the very start of the sustainability plan back in like 2020 or 2019. Yeah, I guess 2020. But we haven't really polled municipalities just to see kind of what their priorities are, what their needs are, things like that. So I think that might be something that I bring to the subcommittee. I just have to get there. So that's everything I have.
No problem. All right. Do you want to just go right into your office updates?
Sure. And Laura did share a link for the Solar for Schools grant program.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. I'm working on one screen today, so please bear with me. Can everybody see the PowerPoint?
Yep.
So, some updates. First and foremost, wanted to provide staff and commission membership updates. So we did close our application to fill the water resource role. However, we didn't have any new applicants, and I did reach out to the folks who had applied when we had the EJ roles open to see if any of them felt that they were qualified or would fit the water resources role, and none of them felt that they fit. So we're reopening and going to keep it open until March 20th. Just for perspective, there's no like strict requirement on what you have to be to fulfill each individual role. It's honestly, if you have any or some experience that touches on that specific category, then that's great. Christine, I see your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that we have two water municipal authorities. I mean, there's lots of municipal authorities that are sewer municipal authorities, and we've got CWA, which is based in the county, which is a municipal authority. And it seems to me that if we want somebody to be talking about water resources, either one of those might be a good one. I mean, I think the Delcora has a lot of expertise in stormwater and water treatment and water standards. Obviously, if you're looking at potable water sources as a sustainable resource, CWA would be a place to go. And they both have a lot of employees who live in the county, which is a good thing. And I'd be happy to reach out to either of them to see if there's somebody who would be involved. I think there's just a question of what are you looking for? There's also some industries that have a lot to do with water resources. So, I'm not sure that what you're looking for. If you're looking for recreational water resources, if you're looking for sustainability, if you're looking for the flooding issues, obviously that's the Brandywine Conservancy has been all over that, and they might have volunteers or people who live in the county who might want to speak to that and be involved in efforts around that. So if somebody wants to get back to me with an idea of what would be most useful in the work you see in the work plan, that sustainability has coming up, I will see if I can reach out to any of those organizations and get them to reach out to their staffs to see if anybody's interested. I mean, they're going to come with a certain amount of disclosed, I won't say bias, but industry perspective, but they're also going to have an awful lot of knowledge. So
That's great. Thank you so much. I personally hadn't thought of the more industry side of it, but I think that would be a really great perspective to have on the board. So thank you.
Yeah, well, like I said, I think, if you're talking about water as a resource and standards and requirements and how there's a whole other set of skill sets in terms of helping the particular homeowner deal with it too. So, think about it and let me know if people want to reach out to me, do so in the chat during this meeting, or feel free to email me, but I'd be happy to try and get someone.
Thank you. Thanks so much. So open till the 20th. If anybody has ideas, please be sure to reach out to Councilwoman Ruther or myself, or it is on the Delco website as well to find the application. In shifting towards staffing, happy to provide some updates this month. So our internship application closed on Monday, and we are thrilled to have 9 applicants. So we'll be looking to do screening for that this week. And our hope is to have somebody hired by the first week of April, with a May start. And other news, happy to share that the backfill for my role is also posted online. You'll note that this title has changed to the Sustainability Coordinator rather than the Sustainability and Resilience Manager. We've also dropped the requirements down just a bit in terms of experience. So it's a recommended 1 year or more experience now. And I hope to open the pool a little bit more to folks that may be interested in this role. The job's going to be open until April 13th, and that application can be found at delcopa.gov/jobs if anybody is interested. As shared earlier, did some public engagement since our last meeting. We were able to meet with the Radnor EAC, as well as both Karen and I attended the Sustainable Newtown Square Green Business Coalition annual meeting. Both were really informative experiences. The photos you see on the bottom left are from the Radnor EAC. They actually have an eco-friendly yard award program that they're doing throughout their municipality, which I thought was really neat and hadn't heard before. So that's definitely a model that many of our communities could look into. And in the Sustainable Newtown Square, we had the meeting at Dunwoody Village in Newtown, which is a retirement home. And they're also doing amazing things in terms of sustainability. And the one photo you see here, that's a walk through time. They had a giant tree that fell, and they were able to take the rings and point out like major events in history, as well as for their facility. So that was super neat. And I'm not sure if you guys can see it, but shout out to Karen who presented at the meeting. So next up, as you guys may recall, the Keep Delco Beautiful cleanup is going to be held this Saturday at Sun Village Park in the city of Chester. We are absolutely thrilled to be hosting this with about 11 partner organizations, all with the goal of essentially keeping Delaware County beautiful. I would also like to shout out our member Justin, who's been a tremendous help in making sure we're all set and ready to go. So I would highly encourage everybody to sign up or just show up. We'll have signups the day of. But so far, it looks like we have about 52 people coming out. So it should be a good time. We're going to do a litter cleanup for about an hour, hour and a half. And then we will have a free pizza lunch and time for folks to table with other organizations that are focusing on keeping Delaware County beautiful. Oh, and Clean Air Council has also arranged an activity, an art-based activity for kids that come as well. So should be a fun time.
I'm sorry, but Becca, where is Sun Village?
Sun Village it's more on the Eddystone side of the city. I think the address is 9th Street and Elsinore Place.
Okay.
And then there's also parking off of Curry Street in Chester.
Becca, can I also just pipe in here? I don't think Gina's on today, but our planning department is going to be there because the air monitoring project in Chester has begun that the county is doing in partnership with DEP. And the planning department will be there to talk about that, about the air monitoring project and give information about it. They're also going to be later in the day at the Access Center. There's some sort of asthma event, and they're going to be presenting about this project there as well. So if anybody wants to learn more about the air monitoring, then go ahead and go to the Keep Delco Beautiful tabling part, and you can learn all about it.
Thank you. Alrighty, next update is more exciting things. Since our last meeting, I just want to thank you guys all for your wonderful suggestions for some of our sessions for the conference. I'm happy to share we have a decent list of speakers who have committed. We're still locking in kind of some of the presentations, but some of the ones I just wanted to highlight so far. Rachel Griffith from Chester County is going to be giving a presentation on sustainable HOAs. Our health department has agreed to do some form of presentation linking environmental health and hazards. I also spoke with Lloyd Baston at Widener University, and he has interest in presenting on, apparently there's a bill going through the state right now where industry would be required to do cumulative impact assessments anytime they have a permit that requires like pollution controls. And for those who may not be familiar, a cumulative impact is looking at essentially how their impacts, in addition to everyone around them, would impact an area rather than just what has historically been done, where it's each industry gets a specific, essentially, allotment for like thresholds in pollution. With Steve's recommendation, I reached out to Farmer John, which is out of the Westtown campus, and they're excited to speak about urban agriculture. Francis Sheehan at the foundation is probably, hopefully, going to speak about how to engage donors and volunteers at a time when funding may not be as accessible from a federal level. Penn State Master Watershed Stewards looking at watershed-friendly properties. And one I'm particularly excited about is Nancy Adams, who is a township commissioner for Maplewood, New Jersey, has agreed to talk about how she was able to pass a gas-powered leaf blower ban in her community. I know this has been a hot topic that came up in the EAC meeting in Radnor at the very least, and I know it's also come up in media. So that should be an interesting session as well. With that in mind, we still have a few need areas that I would love your recommendations. So I always try to make sure we have at least one session for each of our 6 topic areas. And I did reach out to Noel Smith in Haverford to touch on energy, and Steve and Mike, you were copied on that. But I noticed we don't have anything yet for transportation. So if anybody has topic ideas around sustainable transportation, I would welcome those suggestions.
A question for you.
Sure.
The facility you're using this year, does that have the ability to pipe in somebody via Zoom, for instance, to present?
So all of the sessions that I mentioned currently are going to all be virtual throughout the week.
Okay. Is there somewhere that transportation is like the goal, like their transportation system is the goal for this group? If they're virtual, is there any reason, like I get the local, I like the rest of them, all the localness, but is there some place that's doing public transportation really, really well?
It's a good question. And I think Laura raises a good point, is in using this format this year, they don't have to be local. Again, I just kind of found the lady from Maplewood online, and she's kind enough to meet and participate. So if there are other cities or places that are doing great things, we're not bound this year.
Becca, has DVRPC ever presented at the conference?
They have, but I'm not sure that they've spoken on transportation specifically.
Okay, I know they're the MPC for the region, so I was checking out their website to see if there's anything relating to sustainability. They've got bicycle planning, congestion management, so we could pick their brains and see if there's any good topics that they might present on.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Well, I'll let y'all stew on that, but if you get a spark of inspiration, please shoot me an email or a message. The other area that I noticed we do not have a speaker directly tied to yet is zero waste. And I'll say that I've been trying to speak with family members and friends that are curious about sustainability, but are not like diehard, to ask what kind of information would pull them in or grab their interest enough to actually get involved in this conference. And a lot of the answers I was getting was like around the basics. So like a zero waste 101, recycling 101, composting 101. Or I also had the recommendation from our friends at the foundation today about doing a session maybe around like busting myths in our waste system. And with this topic in mind, I actually wanted to flag all of you to see if this topic area, I feel many of you guys are experts in zero waste or could cover this, to see if commission members would like to run a session on this topic.
It's a really great idea, about the how-tos of things. And I think it's super important. And the zero waste where you can even have someone just first talking about recycling, about composting, and then kind of like looping those things together of how this achieves all of that with zero waste with like the extra things beyond that. I really like it. I'm not saying I'm an expert in any of those areas. I know a lot of things that I'd like to do, but I would not call myself an expert.
For a 101, you don't have to be.
Well, Christine has her hand up, so that means she wants to do it.
No, what I wanted to note is, I was just at the Solid Waste Authority's board meeting yesterday, and there were some comments made about recycling and where can you do it. And I think a 101 that includes some kind of pamphlet that the commission could put together about where you can recycle certain things. And I think like Nether Providence Township, I only know this because I'm a resident and I got the email, is starting a hazardous waste, not a hazardous waste, an electronics waste collection, which is really nice, at their garage, because waiting for the times when they have it conveniently in the county, and it's variable on a weekend day when I'm out of town. So I think getting people resources, and some people who wanted to spend a little bit of time just haunting places like Buy Nothing and other stuff, and doing another really great source of information on where does your stuff go when you donate it would be like getting representatives from Green Drop and Goodwill. I mean, I found out something wild when I did a tour of the Goodwill facility in Swarthmore or Ridley, wherever it is, that they take single shoes because they ship those shoes, or they have in the past, to India, where they're literally matched up with other wash shoes at the same time. I mean, who knew that? So, I mean, they actually do recycle them, but I feel like
Wow,
just
that's great.
getting together resources and having a handout on here's what you need to know. And like, yes, another has electronic recycling now. Do you need to be a resident or can
Yeah,
anybody bring their stuff by? Are you
right.
charged? And, you know, I know that's a topic of discussion also about the solid waste authorities transfer stations, you know, if they're able to go ahead and rebuild one of them without having different kinds of waste drop offs. So, you know, where to look for the information. It could be people could leave with something, even if it's just a laminated card with a QR code that takes them to where they can find stuff on the website. But I think it also gives us a chance to introduce some. So, what do we really take and what do we do with it? Because I think Goodwill would also be interested in talking about stuff they really don't want, like why this does need to go to a dump or an incinerator or a landfill. You know, that kind of stuff is helpful to people.
I love that. I know that
That's a
should
great idea.
definitely be a component. And maybe what we could do is, with what maybe Becca, we have like a Google Doc where people can share all that together as we try to work on having that really condensed, rich list that then could be posted on the website as well. So we share it there, then people know about it and can promote it on social media.
That's a great idea. Thank you. And I think that's also, so we have, I think if we like max out time slots, I think we still have like 7 left. So we could always do both, where it's a Goodwill
Mhm.
specific or a Green Drop specific, something like that of what happens when you donate. And
Well,
then a
I think one
101
of
as
these
well.
places where you get a couple of the so-called the recyclers and repurposers coming and talking about what they can do and what they really can't do.
Mhm.
Right. And John, I see your hand up as well.
Yes, thank you. I had to just step away for a quick second, so if this was said, I apologize. Leslie and I had a meeting with, I heard about Goodwill here, Goodwill and Reworld, regarding e-waste options for Delaware County. They've had, successful programs in neighboring counties, and we, in an effort to increase the streams that we hope to do, hope to increase while here. They were very receptive to the idea of potentially 7 locations in Delco, Goodwill, of accepting electronic waste. And we haven't gone over specifics on what that looks like. We're yet to meet again, but it sounds like this partnership is we're very optimistic that it will happen. And folks like myself who have TVs or looking to get rid of them, they may not have to wait for the events, and we'll have more convenient options.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Sure.
Awesome. Well, if no other thoughts on that piece, then I had a couple other spots where I was hoping for your feedback. So, in one of our previous meetings, we had recognized that our June meeting is currently scheduled for the Thursday night of our virtual week. We had talked about potentially holding an in-person meeting before the keynote on Saturday instead. In planning the logistics of that, we still have that option. However, it looks like it would have to be abbreviated. It would have to only be about 30 minutes from 10 to 10:30 before registration or like people start coming in for the speaking, which begins at 11. So knowing that that would have to be abbreviated, I wanted to put it back out there if y'all would still prefer to do that in person in the morning at the Lazaretto in Tinicum, or if you wanted to keep your normal meeting time Thursday at 4 and have all the business still at that time.
Wait, I'm sorry, Becca, I blanked on this again. What's the date? June
June
5th?
14th.
Oh, 14th. Right. Wait, so we would have a meeting that morning.
Yes. Or we can still keep our normal virtual format and all of that sort and keep all the formal business on Thursday. And then if you guys wanted, you could still come early to meet in person if you wanted. At that time, have breakfast a little early before the speaker. But again, if we're trying to do a meeting that morning, just with the logistical time of everything else, it would only be able to be about 30 minutes.
I mean, my thought would be to still have it in the morning in person and obviously publicize that as part of everything and make it more of less of business, but seeking people's comments on things that we can do. You know, maybe we do a real brief 10-minute 101 of the plan. So anyway, John, hand up.
I
Is
think
that
it's
legacy
Oh, I'm
hand?
sorry. Yeah, it's a legacy hand. Sorry about that.
Okay. Other thoughts?
yeah, I think you're right. I think the point of having the the in-person meeting is not to get business done, but to have the engagement and to get people aware that yes, we have these meetings every month and that people are invited to attend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Alrighty, then that's fine. We had already voted to have it during the in-person meeting a couple meetings back before we knew logistically what that would look like. So if everybody's good with it, then we will stay with that. And I'm happy to send kind of our draft itinerary as a follow-up following the meeting.
Very good. Thank you.
Sure. And then the one other thing I also wanted to ask about is, so we have all these people who are willing to speak, but I haven't put times on the calendar yet. So they know what week it is, but we haven't like put people into blocks yet. So the idea in scheduling the conference in this way is to have a morning session, like lunch and learn, so at 12 to 1, and then either a late afternoon or early evening, or evening sessions. I know at least one is planned for the evening already, but I really wanted to come back to all of you again as folks that don't necessarily always do this for work, have other jobs in other sectors, but are interested of what kind of time frames would be best, most accessible, easiest to be able to fit into your schedules. So does that mean we should have evening or like a night session each night? Is that more of a 4 to 5 p.m. for the afternoon? What kind of time frames should I be aiming to schedule?
Well, Becca, last one, you had a lot of students coming, right? So I think they came as part of their school, right, during the day.
Yes.
We're not doing that this time, are we?
We were not planning to.
Okay.
I mean, we'll certainly advertise it where if schools want to put it on for kind of like a viewing party, they're more than welcome. But we weren't specifically targeting students this go round.
Okay.
Then I would say evening, unless it's something that we can do like a lunch and learn and then, you know, evening too.
Okay.
I just typed that in the chat, but I agree. I think doing like lunch hours and evenings might work well for most people.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, I think it depends on the speaker.
Mhm.
So have something that's more of a workshop, or I don't know what,
Yeah.
for a lunch and learn might be good. And then more of a,
Mm-hmm.
call it a lecture for the evening one,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
if that makes any sense to people. Because during, I don't know, lunch and learn could be something a little more interactive, possibly, or action item. Not saying it can't be both, but that's just
Mm-hmm.
my thoughts.
Sure.
Can
Alrighty.
you guys hear me?
Yes.
Oh, cool. Hi, nice to be here for my first time.
Thanks for
Um,
joining me.
if the conference is going to be in Tinicum and it's high tide, there may be a way to squeeze in some shuttles over to Tinicum Island. For people who have boats, that'd be a really cool way to see one of the only Penn Woods open camping sites anytime you want, and at the same time see some major litter that needs to be cleaned up. I don't know, it's just an idea.
So that would be for Saturday. And Mike, do
Eh,
you know who or does anybody know which agency oversees Little Tinicum Island?
It's probably DCNR because it's a campground area. It's
I
it's
thought it
it's
was a
one of the
township, but no.
hmm, I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Anyway, I was just throwing it out there. It might be too much logistics because you do have to have high tide, I think, to cross over.
Hmm.
Okay.
But it was an idea.
Yeah.
Well, I think even I didn't even know that was really an option.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I
I've
think
done it,
even
and it's terrible. It's such a terrible place to. You wouldn't ever want to camp there. It's just full of garbage. It's crazy bad. So it's a real powerful statement. Um,
Yeah.
well, even
anyway,
that's something we can certainly I can try to pin down the information, or if Mike, you know where to look for that information in terms of permissions or something, that's something we could certainly advertise like at the conference on Saturday. Because you'll be able to see it. It's right across the water.
yeah, it's right
Again,
there.
I
Right.
didn't even know that was an option.
Um, I could talk to some. I have some contacts at DCNR. I could ask if that would be acceptable. You don't really have to ask. It's one of the few spots where you can just go camp anytime you want. But that's for camping. So I
Okay.
suppose visiting would also be the same.
Yeah, if you could just, yeah, that'd be great. Thank
Okay.
you.
I've heard a lot of good things. I actually have never gone, but I know people have set that up plenty of times, and it is a great experience.
Cool.
And then the last question I had for all of you guys on the conference is, I guess, just kind of polling to see if anybody would like to serve on the awards subcommittee again this year. So, for those that may not have participated in the past, what that looks like is we will essentially do a call for awards. Our subcommittee will be the group that confirms the categories, and they will be the ones reviewing applications to select winners. It's a relatively small time commitment, but if anybody's interested, let me know. Otherwise, I'll put it in our follow-up email as well. Thank you for all of your feedback. So a couple other things I want to power through. Just wanted to kind of put this in front of you. Just some of the things that I've been working on and our staff has been working on in the actual like courthouse and government center complex and media. So not sure if any of you have seen the articles, but the Orange Street parking lot is now open and the county has installed 5 EV charging stations that have recently gone online. I will say they are currently reserved for county vehicles only, but it was a much needed infrastructure upgrade to support our EV fleet. We also have 2 more charging stations that were installed in Rose Street Park, which are waiting to go online. They're over near the Leadham House, which is where Parks and Rec office is. And again, the intention is for them to cover our fleet right now because we are grossly undersourced for charging infrastructure. But the goal is once we can have enough of a network to cover our fleet, that eventually these will hopefully be open to the public as well. We've also been working on further fine-tuning our lighting schedules in the building. As I have told you guys before, we don't have like light switches in our building. It's all off of a like management system. So I was able to meet with facilities recently and we were able to cut some of the kinks. So we had lights on at 911 that were on 24/7, as were some outdoor lights at the government center. So just fine-tuning things there. We also are moving forward with revamping our recycling. So we do have recycling in our courthouse and government center currently, but there's a lot of uncertainty around it. I wouldn't say, folks, there's a lot of robust participation. So we are hosting a training with custodial staff at the end of this March to try to get them kind of retrained and recomfortable with what should be in each of our bins. And that will also include introducing them to some new equipment that that facilities is purchasing. So essentially one of the challenges right now is they're using just a single cart when they're going around and collecting waste. So it makes it really difficult to like keep materials separated and even just the perceptions that things are being separated. So facilities is purchasing a dual cart system. So now they'll have to make less trips around the building. It'll help with contamination, making sure the materials are staying separate when things are getting dumped, and help with that perception. So it's not a big question of like, are they recycling or not? Other things coming down the pike, I was happy to meet with our IT department to find out that through one of our vendors, we can have free toner recycling. I know a lot of our departments have just kind of been holding on to them for years. So we'll finally be able to clear out some of those closets. And then the last thing is I'm going to be looking to do a supply swap, hopefully during Earth Week this year. So departments can swap supplies rather than things just getting pitched or living in the back of supply closets that no one's going to use. So in terms of grant funded projects, unfortunately, no real updates here. Our LED lighting project is still paused. Again, that's funded through IRA money for the Department of Energy. So that is paused. Our tree canopy study continues to move forward. The consultant is fine-tuning the mapping data. So myself and the head of GIS determined that they're going to have the data on a census block group and a municipal scale. So that means you'll be able to get down to almost a neighborhood level to see how tree canopy has changed over time. For shared energy manager, this is a program we're a part of through PADEP. They are helping us look into charging infrastructure and helping us kind of plan where to place them in the future to most effectively serve not only county fleet, but also hopefully opening to the public in the future. And then the last thing I just wanted to share is we did get a mini grant for $500 to go toward our event on Saturday. I'm going to take a pause before I get into zero waste plan to see if anybody has questions on anything I've shared so far.
Lots of great stuff.
Thank you. Alrighty, then I'll keep powering through because I think I'm over on my time already. So, zero waste plan. It's been coming for a very long time. It's been multi-year progress. Happy to share we're finally at a point to share a draft. And like to point out, if I say we've been working on it, I mean myself and Ruth Abbey, who helped write the original draft, Zero Waste Associates. Though she's no longer under contract, she wants to see this thing over the finish line and has been a tremendous help and partner to continue to shape this into something that's more public facing. So for folks that may be joining us for the first time, so y'all know essentially what happened. county was going to be writing a zero waste and a 10-year municipal solid waste compliance plan. The state decided they did not prefer that, and they wanted us to separate kind of zero waste as one plan and the compliance information as another. So we've been working to separate those pieces back out, and the draft that you received in email, and I will be posting online so our public can also provide comments, is the zero waste specific plan.
Yeah, just to be clear, it wasn't the county who decided that we didn't want them together. It was DEP who was prepared to keep going back and forth, but made it pretty clear that the division that reviews the Act 101 municipal plans doesn't really care about recycling. It cares about how much waste do you think you're going to have that can't be recycled, and where is it going to go? And that's what they want to know for the next 10 years. And that's it. They really weren't at all interested in hearing about other initiatives. And, in a call with county leadership made it pretty clear that this was a separate beast. So that, I don't think the two are at all incompatible, but you've got to respond to the statutory requirement of the Act 101 plan, regardless of, are you knocking off, are we knocking off 100,000 tons through recycling and repurposing, or are we not? They don't really care. They just want to know what our projections are and where the waste can go. So we are redoing that. And by the way, they're still giving us a hard time, just so you know. They're giving us a hard time over whether or not what the Solid Waste Authority has in place with its municipal users constitutes flow control, which it doesn't in any way, shape, or form, but there's some difficulty associated with that. So they're just being difficult anyway, and being difficult on top by adding in the recycling wasn't going to get the plan done. So that's where we are.
Thank you for the additional context. So with that in mind, high level overview of what the changes were, since many of you guys have seen previous drafts. So the original draft was 266 pages. We recognized while that may fly for the state, that's not very friendly for a document written for the county and the public. So we have it down to about 46 pages. To do that, it has an abbreviated background, recognizing if folks want to learn more about the nitty-gritty, they can go to the 10-year municipal solid waste plan. We also extended kind of an explanation of why folks should move towards zero waste. So this includes talking about the triple bottom line, looking at our EJ history in Delaware County, as well as bringing the life cycle analysis that was done into the content of the plan rather than just leaving it out as a kind of appendix that could get lost. Implementation plan has been reorganized. And then we also provided further information in the text rather than in appendices as it was originally drafted. And I go a little bit more into detail so you know what I'm talking about. So I know while there have been a lot of changes, I also wanted to highlight what has stayed the same. So largely all of the content has stayed the same. So what you see on the screen here in blue, those are the original goals of the plan. They've stayed the exact same, just removed the need for making compliance with the state's Act 101. All of the guiding principles, which were identified through a very robust community engagement process, those are all highlighted here in green. They have also stayed the exact same. Also in the plan, the emphasis and foundation of using the Zero Waste International Alliance definition of zero waste, as well as using the zero waste hierarchy as kind of a lens for decision making, that has all also stayed the same. So what has changed then? As noted, we've kind of broken further detail into additional information of why zero waste. We very much abbreviated the background section. Thank you, David, Director, for doing a lot of the trimming on that. We have updated the original tonnage numbers and information that was in the plan to match that, which is in the 10-year municipal solid waste plan compliance document that the Solid Waste Authority is currently drafting. For perspective, originally 2020 numbers were used in this draft because that's what was available at the time. Not always a great number to pull from to be representative of a normal year, given everything that was happening. So 2022 data is now the baseline. And we also added a very robust glossary of terms and abbreviations, as where that was never included previously. Couple other things, and I guess I should ask, can you guys see the right side of my screen? That's where I can see all of you. Can you see my screen, or is that?
Yeah,
Okay.
all the initiatives.
Okay, perfect. So another thing of note, in the original plan, there were 21 initiatives identified, which are those you see on the right side of the screen. These were maintained. However, we consolidated some of them that were very similar into just a single category. So my kind of brackets you see there show which initiatives were combined. So for example, construction and demolition and deconstruction, they were combined into one category. Universal recycling and universal collecting, they had them broken out. They were combined into one. Refillable stations and zero packaging stores, they were combined, but all still there. In addition to consolidating some actions based on public feedback that we had received from the commission, as well as the zero waste group that had met for the initial plan creation, we have added some actions based on your recommendations. And one of those things that we've also added are some actions around litter and illegal dumping, as they very closely tied to zero waste, but were not in the initial document. The last thing I think to really touch on too is these initiatives have really been reorganized. So in the initial plan, they had them organized into 4 staff positions. At this time, as you know, county is not in a place where we're going to be able to hire 4 new people right off the bat to push zero waste initiatives forward. And we didn't want to mislead anyone into thinking that that's something we would be able to adopt right away. So what we did instead is we shifted to organize all of these initiatives and actions into topics. So what those 4 kind of topic areas are now are if they are policy changes, so those things where change is really driven from the top down, ordinances, policies, items like that. Culture, so things that are helping promote a culture of zero waste. Section we're calling curbing waste, which is a fun little pun about kind of relooking at how curbside collection currently happens in the county. And then the last section is infrastructure. So those areas where we may need a more robust kind of investment of resources to start some kind of larger scale initiatives. For perspective, do not plan for any of you guys to be able to read this, but I just kind of wanted to show what that actually looks like in practice. So on the left side of the screen, this is what a lot of the sections looked like previously. So you see the table at the bottom, it's very much organized into full-time equivalents for a staff person. And it's all the description was for a job. And then if you wanted to find more information about like the steps required within a specific initiative, it was like kind of hidden in an appendix. So what we did instead is what you see on the right. It's you lead off each initiative with a broad description of what exactly we mean by that. And then it goes into actions, which are low-hanging fruit, kind of mid-range or long range. And another thing that you'll note is I've added a little icon next to actions where while the action is prescribed for the county, municipalities really need to be the one to push it over the edge to see it successful. So for example, in the example you see here, second one, support the creation of pilot programs which emphasize shared services. While that's something the county is hoping to do, if we want to see this work and this action take full effect, municipalities need to be the one to adopt the pilot program. So that's what that little symbol is along the side here. And that's throughout the plan. So to end, kind of high level overview, just kind of wanted to show where we're going. So what is still required to push this thing over the finish line? I have shared the draft with all of you. And again, we'll be putting that on the website. Would love for you guys to compile comments, thoughts, questions, concerns. You're welcome to share them with me over email. Otherwise, we'll have time during the April meeting dedicated to kind of talking through your thoughts on the draft. On my end, I need to update the footnotes. So I still need to backfill our sources, a very fun task. And going to have to make it pretty. So adding photos and once we have like the content secured, it'll be much easier for me to kind of manipulate to make it graphically pretty. With that in mind, so introduced it to y'all tonight, hoping for comments and recommendations by our April meeting, which is on April 10th. If all works out and all goes well, I'll be able to provide you with the graphic packaged draft between our April and May meetings. And if all goes perfectly, we would be seeking an approval from the commission in our May meeting, in which case I would then push it before County Council in June. If not adopted in May, if that gets pushed to June, then it would be pushed to July before County Council. So that was a lot. Happy to answer any questions or take comments. I will say I haven't been able to look at the chat as much because I'm on one screen today. So
Yeah, I did respond to public comment, which were additional suggestions on
Okay.
resources that we can offer, which are good. There's a low waste store in Narberth called Shift, and they have a lot of resources on their website and probably can also, provide a session. And then there's Rabbit, R-A-B-B-I-T recycling. So that was from the public. I don't know if you had any other, that was in the chat from the public. So I don't know if you saw anything else, any emails, Becca. While you look for that, I will say just commission members have given other thoughts on resources. This is from earlier. But otherwise, a lot of great information and a great idea to do that, consolidate it. I think it will make a big difference, even though I'm sorry that it's kind of extra, but maybe not quite as much. Other questions by commission members?
I don't have any questions, but I just speaking for the city of Chester, definitely want to say I appreciate, how much in all the consolidation that there was still a lot of focus on incineration and also the addition of litter and illegal dumping being major issues that really probably the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania's biggest environmental justice community are facing right now. So thank you for those inclusions.
Mm-hmm. In hindsight, we probably should have did a round of introductions, although more people have joined since we first started. So next time, remind me. Other comments or questions?
So we do have a public comment. So Shari sent the 2 comments she had in the chat through the email as well. We do have another public comment, but I'm gonna wait until new business because it's
Okay.
unrelated.
Okay, unrelated to the agenda items. Okay. Well, I'm going to consolidate a little bit and just ask commission members if there are comments, thoughts, suggestions on grants or other sharing pieces that you think would be helpful for the public and other members here to know about. So any grant opportunities or events or other tidbits that would be useful for us to know about. Obviously, there are a lot of cleanups next month. I know Darby Creek Valley Association has our cleanups for the creek, nearly 40 different sites where people could sign up to volunteer, where we have captains all throughout the watershed, which you can find out more, and I'll post the website.
I'm one of the captains, and
Oh,
I invite everybody on April 5th to Nailers Run between Garrett and Beverly.
excellent.
And CRC's cleanups are March 29th.
Great. CRC's Chester Ridley Crum.
Correct. Yeah. Thanks.
I have fond memories of Nailers Run when I was in high school at Upper Darby. I was the student manager of the cross country team squad, and we ran in Nailers Run Park.
Nice.
Jacqueline, there is a list, jumping back to the grants. There's
Yes.
a list of available grants on the planning department's
Yep.
homepage, as well as a funding assistance page.
Yes, thank
And
you
I
for that
just added a
reminder.
few.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, I
Okay.
just added a few just the other day, so you might want to recheck it.
Okay. That's great.
Wanted to comment on a few things that were already mentioned. One is a few weeks ago, there was a PA DEP hearing on House Bill 109, which is the cumulative effects bill that Becca was talking about. And there was a really great turnout from the public at that event, which was hosted at Widener in Chester.
Yeah.
But it'll still face a lot of challenges, even though, from my perspective, it's pretty common sense to take into account, the broader landscape when you're looking at limits on, emissions. So just want to encourage the public to contact their representatives and let them know that this is a bill that they would like to see passed. And I also wanted to thank the Solid Waste Authority for the invitation to the city of Chester to join them in a kind of tour and meeting at ReWorld as they're looking at, exercising a 1-year option on that contract. So appreciate being included in that conversation. So thank you.
Great.
This is John Bosch. I wanted to mention that we have reached out to each of the 49 municipalities about grant opportunities, and it's been extremely well received. In addition, Leslie's been working very closely with those townships that have been struggling with how to apply for grants, and trying to offer education on those opportunities and how to apply for them. So we'll have complete numbers hopefully by our April board meeting, but it's been quite a success for Delaware County.
Good. Others?
Are these just random announcements now? I wanted to mention the Delaware Riverkeeper has a watershed conference March 29th, in person only in Reading.
Thank you. It is. I mean, it's something that it's important to just let people know about different events, beneficial to the county as well as grant opportunities.
This is Leslie from the Solid Waste Authority. I just wanted to let Becca know that I am currently using Google Forms right now for a survey. And so far I have 20 out of 49 complete for annual reporting. I am having to help some of them, but just if you wanted a template or just to see to gauge how many people are actually going to complete these on time, I will provide that feedback for you.
That would be great.
You got it.
Anybody else? Okay, hearing none. And looking at action items from the last meeting, we had talked about having a review of the SEP, and now I'm blanking on what that is. Is that energy?
Sustainable Energy Partnership.
Yeah, at a future meeting. So I think we just need to work on scheduling that. Otherwise, I didn't see any other action items. And then one new business nomination to the Conservation District Board. There's still a need there, right, Karen? Are you tired talking about it yet?
Yes, I am. I'll let Becca share this. Is that okay, Becca?
Yeah, sure. So this is actually an exciting one. We get to flex our muscles as a nominating organization. So as you guys know, Karen, they had changed the last board position on the Conservation District to now be open to a just general member of the public. However, we have a local farmer named Lou Esgro from Lindsay's Flower Farm in Chadsford Township that is requesting our board to formally issue a nomination in support of him joining the Conservation District. So ahead of this meeting, I had sent the kind of nomination form that Lou had to fill out to chat about himself, but some fun things to share. So this is I was able to speak with him earlier today. It's a husband and wife team. So Lindsay and Lou Esgro, they just recently bought a 12-acre farm, or it was a horse farm originally in Chadsford Township, saved it from development, and they are looking to turn it into a flower farm. He told me they also have chickens and have rescued 5 alpacas. And so they're actively working to get their business started. I know through the Conservation District and DCNR, they've been able to utilize some of the funding programs that help support and get agricultural businesses off the ground. But if everybody is in support, we would need a motion to nominate Lou Esgro to the Conservation District Board.
Okay.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Awesome. All in favor?
Who did the nomination?
Julie.
Me.
And David seconded.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any abstentions? Okay, the ayes have it. Very good, very good. Any other new business? Oh, go ahead, Elaine.
About SEP.
Yeah.
Last week, myself and Liz Compatella, who's the DVRPC person that's kind of, herding all the cats on that. She and I did a podcast together about SEP, and it was called Planet Philly or Planet Philadelphia. It hasn't been posted yet, but it's a nice kind of background on what SEP is, how it started, what we hope to achieve, all of that. And I want to just note that this podcast, which is actually really interesting, they have great guests, is 2 women in their late 70s. And I was so impressed. I mean, life goals. You know, these two women have this great podcast with these really interesting topics, all climate related and environment related. But and if anybody wants to learn a little bit about SEP before they come on, this podcast is going to be out there, I think, probably starting this weekend.
Right? Very cool to hear.
Is Planet Philly the name of the podcast, or is that okay?
It's like heavily energy related. And they've done
Nice.
If there's nothing else from the commission, Jacqueline, can I bring up the public comment?
Yep.
Alrighty, so this comes from Roberta Winters. Who, if you don't know Roberta, she's very involved. So in this comment, it's on behalf of the League of Women Voters. And she says, as public comment for the March 13th, 2025 meeting, I would like to request that the Delaware County Sustainability Commission review the attached resolution recently adopted by the League of Women Voters at both a state level in 2023 and national conventions in 2022 and 2024. It is attached for your consideration, and I'll send it, and I'm happy to share my screen as well. On behalf of the League of Women Voters, the Delaware County ILO, I encourage you to adopt this resolution, which refers to the current environmental situation as a climate emergency. The use of the word emergency best reflects reality, and we trust it will become an ongoing part of your terminology in the important work that you do.
So Becca, I would just say though that can we list this as a more formal action item on the next agenda?
Yep.
So then you can share it with all the members. It is listed. It gives people time.
Yep.
And then we could do that for April.
Okay. Wonderful. And I can work with Ron to also see if we can get it on the website so members of the public can also read the resolution drafted.
Excellent. Okay. So I would say that would be an action item for the next meeting, as well as setting up the SEP presentation. Any other new business or action items? Okay, hearing none. No other comments, right, Becca? No?
Nothing
All right.
else.
So then, anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
We're just having
I
so
guess
much fun.
that's my job, right? I move we adjourn.
All right, David, thank you. Second?
I'll second.
All right, Ron. All good? Yes?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
All right, thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you